What's popping up? It looks like Charlamagne, you know how they say it takes like 20 years to build a good reputation, but you can ruin it all in 20 minutes? Maybe we should turn it into 20 days, and he's going to nail himself to the cross, metaphorically speaking, for none other than Jay-Z. And we have got some crazy new developments as of late. So obviously this all kicked off when Charlamagne months ago was notifying, quote unquote, academics or people of things that were coming down the pipeline. And then Academics TV side account starts an onslaught on Charlamagne of his old accusations. But recently they've been trying to patch things up, more so on Academics' end. And while Academics was in Miami, he would talk about how weird it was that Charlamagne was trying to have a conversation, but wasn't trying to do it live.
Charlamagne been trying to all right, let's find the next way to, kind of become like a bigger commentator and a bigger figure. And it's politics. Charlamagne's a political. You get what I'm saying? But he wouldn't be saying nothing to me if it was I was super pro-Democrat. But because I'm not super pro-Democrat, that's why he came with his thing that he had no proof of. I'm like, yo, come on, bro. Come on. You feel what I'm saying? Yo, the craziest thing too, when I started hearing even Charlamagne talk about, Charlamagne talk about steak. I'm like, yo, bro. This is what I'm saying. Charlamagne got let's sit down. We got to do it on both our platforms. Let's sit down and really talk about it all. Because I want to look Charlamagne in his eyes and say, how you got so much opinion about steak, or what you think steak is doing, or what you think crypto gambling is, or whatever you think it is. But you showed up there for Jay-Z when he was about to get a bid for the casino in Times Square, and you gave a speech on his behalf. I'm listening to this new podcast. Charlamagne's like, yo, this is influencing the kids. You tried to get a casino in the middle of Times Square. Bruh, stop it, bro. We gonna have to, bro, I'm telling you, I'm looking at him like, yo, it was music to my ears when Charlamagne said, nah, we gotta talk about it. I've been trying to talk about it. You don't gotta, I want to talk publicly because I don't have no secrets with nobody. Charlamagne gave a speech. Yo, imagine me giving a steak speech. Yo, hey, listen. Yo, Charlamagne gave a speech, gang. Now he's over here talking about, the kids is getting influenced by gambling by streamers.
Now, this is hypocrisy because keep in mind, this is at this point, it was just hypocrisy. Keep in mind, Charlamagne was all about this mental health stuff. I don't know where that went. He was all about this therapy stuff. I mean, listen, when you're talking on behalf of a casino, I would think that's done a lot more harm to people's mental health than it has done positive. I don't think anybody's ever come out of a casino and their mental health has gone up. Now, maybe they might have been happier for that moment if they won, but overall, over a long period of time, you would assume therapy would help somebody, but on a long enough timeline, I don't think casinos help people. So that's just a little bit of hypocrisy on Charlamagne's behalf. But what does that tell us? Well, we would learn a bit more because Wayno, who is strongly affiliated with Roc Nation for 20 plus years, I think he worked there or he worked at Rockefeller. He's been favorable towards them. And I would say he is a Jay-Z fan, a pure glazer of Jay-Z. I wouldn't put him there. But he would make a revelation that shocked everyone, that nobody knew, or almost nobody knew, was that he was saying, well, Charlamagne wasn't actually going over there for Jay-Z to speak on Jay-Z's behalf. He was speaking on his behalf for the casino because he had a financial interest in that. And nobody knew that. And somebody else, Traplo Ross in this case, would go through and review some of the things that Charlamagne was saying in regards to the casino. And I can't believe I missed this. We knew that he was talking about wanting Jay-Z to get the casino at the time. But looking back at it with the context that we have now, this is hilarious, especially with the Roc Nation and Charlamagne affiliation, because they keep trying to hit academics with, oh no, the politics, and oh no, the crypto, and oh no, the casino. Meanwhile, his man's, who he's on the podcast with, was sponsored by a crypto casino. Then he starts talking about Polymarket, which, what does Polymarket have to do with anything? Like Blackboy Max did a sponsored stream segment with Polymarket. Francis Ngannou was walking out with a gigantic Polymarket chain in his most recent fight, the UFC event that they had. And well, it wasn't a UFC event. It was a fighting event on Netflix that was hosted by Jake Paul? Yeah, during that event. So everybody's, well, what is this guy talking about? And there's no investigate. Well, whatever's going on with that has nothing to do with academics. And this was after the first thing that they tried to come with was some getting paid by politics when he was getting checks for having streamed on Rumble. Like, what the hell is this nonsense? What? We would get some Birdman-like activities, and I'm talking very Birdman-like activities from Charlamagne when this was first going on.
They're only giving one gaming license to New York City, and Hove wants that license.
Yeah, that needs to happen. I mean, that has to happen. Like in the letter, Roc Nation states there's no...
That needs to happen. Look at him rubbing his hands together like Birdman. He thinking he getting paid already. He already spent the money in his head. Yeah, that needs to happen, man. Yeah, that needs to happen. That needs, Let me just put a little something in your drink. Yeah, all the drinks that you could spike at this casino.
No better location for a Caesar's Palace entertainment destination in Times Square. And I couldn't agree more. Because the reality is there's nothing in Times Square right now. Like the biggest attraction.
There's nothing in Times Square. Don't get me pissed off. Times Square. There's nothing in Are you kidding me? Do you think we're dumb? This guy thinks we're dumb. This guy thinks we're dummies. This guy thinks we're dummies. This man just said there's nothing in Times Square. There's what the f*** are you talking about? Popeyes. There's nothing in time. There ain't nothing in Times Square. There ain't nothing in Times Square. Times Square ain't what? Ain't nothing to do in Times Square. Ain't jack shit. I ain't taken one step. AP Swatch. Ain't shit to do. Ain't nothing going on down here. There's more going on in Bognor Regis, where I'm from. Ain't nothing. Couldn't get tickets to nothing in Times Square. I'm bored. There ain't nothing to do in here. Nothing to look at. I'm so unstimulated right now. I'm so bored. What is this guy is a idiot? No, he's not an idiot. He's a liar.
Now this is hilarious. Like just seeing him talk about, Times Square needs this. Number one, what the hell does Charlamagne know about what Times Square or New York needs? Charlamagne is from Charleston, South Carolina. This guy's from South Carolina. He didn't move to New York until he was over 30 years old. So it's not like this guy, you can't even say, oh, now, he spent 10 years here. And then after, when he turned 11 or 12, then he moved to New York. He grew up there. Or you could even push it as far as saying, he went to college in New York. No, this guy came into New York and he was living in Jersey at the time. I don't know if he's still living in Jersey. So this guy's not even living in New York City. And he's talking about, this is what New York needs. And then Traveler Ross was hilarious here, talking about nothing in Times Square. Everyone avoids Times Square because you can't put your foot anywhere because it's constantly packed all year. One of the biggest tourists, there's everything in Times Square except the casino. He's like, what is there even in Times Square? There's everything in casino. And then the craziest part is like when you look at this next segment, it sounds like he's reading an ad.
There's nobody in New York that could get a casino license that could attract a diverse crowd of people from all over the world that Sean Carter would.
Now the proposal, as Charlamagne said, they want to give back to all surrounding businesses. They want to commit.
I'm confused because where's the ad disclosure? This sounds like an ad to me, but I ain't seen any ad disclosure. I ain't seen nothing to say advert, sponsored content, equity owner. I'm not sure because the FTC said that you got to disclose this, but I'm not seeing any ad disclosure. I didn't start the video. I said this is paid product placement. This video is still in violation of the FTC guidelines.
Made $115 million for diverse theater programs.
We've heard Charlamagne talk normal, but him talking like this, nobody in the world could get somebody to come like a Sean Carter would. Wait, what? Hold on. There are a lot of other people that could get a global, like Jay-Z is not that big globally. I hope people know that. 50 Cent would be better. You could say Curtis Jackson would do a better job at getting a global audience to come to a casino in New York than Jay-Z would. But he's reading it like it's some ad copy. And of course, Traveler Ross is saying that he didn't disclose due to FTC guidelines that he had a financial interest in this, as we had found out from Wayno. But academics would come back with some new material, which is actually useful against Charlamagne, and show the discovery that Charlamagne was in fact directly tied to Roc Nation with financial interest in this casino happening.
I go here, doesn't really say anything, but I see Roc Nation. Roc Nation has identified no direct or indirect conflicts or perceived conflicts of interest to exist with respect to this proposal. What is this telling me now? Roc Nation is one of the people who has financial interest if this goes through. But what does this got to do with Charlamagne? So I go down and I say, man, maybe this little birdie that's from Roc Nation who told me just like, he's just trying to gaslight me. Everybody's gaslighting Big Act now, okay? I see what's going on. They're all gaslighting Big Act. Then I click here. Under Roc Nation, it reads these names. Sean Carter, Desiree Perez, Jana Fleshman, Angela Rye, Alicia Keys, and that's not my mother media goat, Leonard McKelvey, a.k.a. Charlamagne, not under the Roc Nation banner. No, we got him, y'all. We got him, y'all. Chat, I refreshed this page 40 times. I couldn't believe it. No. I refreshed this 40 times, chat. I couldn't believe it. Under Roc Nation, Leonard McKelvey, a.k.a. it says known professionally as Charlamagne the God, according to how they tried to submit this to the New York State government, they claim that Leonard McKelvey was a part of whatever Roc Nation was going to do.
So this is something that does change things a lot. Because for Charlamagne, he was trying to tell academics, Jay-Z's not even... The goofiest thing you could possibly do is say that Jay-Z is not paying attention to what the number one, most popular, like Complex magazine... Like, let's just take a couple of different layers. Jay-Z and Charlamagne are still talking about, why aren't you talking about these Wall Street Journal articles? Why aren't you talking about Inside Magazine, Vibe Magazine posted this? Which, like, these guys are... So they're looking through that layer, and it's important that we contextualize that because Complex Magazine, which is something that they would be looking at, they ranked academics as, number one, number two for the past 3 years straight. So you're telling me that Kendrick Lamar and Drake, who he was both paying attention to, both mentioned academics in the beef, and Jay-Z, he's just not paying attention to that. Charlamagne's trying to tell, man, he's just not paying attention to you. Seriously? Jay-Z's paying attention to people making comments about his hair, so he drops a hair care routine for 7 minutes, and you're trying to tell us that he doesn't see anything with academics. Like, you must think that we're dumb. And this is the insulting part. Like, he thinks you're dumb. Charlamagne thinks you're an idiot, and you're just going to buy into whatever he says. And that's irritating to me because, listen, I may be dumb, but I'm not that dumb. I try to gas these billionaires, and we have a trillionaire. Elon Musk is a trillionaire in the trenches of X, Twitter, with us. This guy's replying to randoms. And Elon Musk is running, what is that guy running? He's got the SpaceX thing going. He's got Tesla. He's digging holes underground. He owns X. He's doing 50 million things that are more of a cognitive load and take a lot more time and effort. You would think he would have less time than a Jay-Z, who's a billionaire. And we're supposed to believe that Jay-Z doesn't know what's going on, but Elon Musk does. Like, come on, dog. Just stop thinking we're stupid. Michael Rubin, another billionaire. This guy's tapped into everything that's going on as well. All these guys are. They have nothing it's not that they have nothing better to do. It is imperative that they understand what's going on in the public because Jay-Z needed votes in order to get the casino thing to pass. Like, people need to be on his side. And especially if you're getting involved in politics, you need the masses. You can't be like, I'm not interested in what the masses are doing. I'm just a billionaire. Yeah, you can do that if you're not interested in influencing policy, getting votes, or if your clout and power isn't associated with public sentiment, which for Jay-Z, it is. The reason why he got the NFL gig was because he had clout and influence over a demographic. Same situation with the Tidal thing. That's why Tidal got bought out and he got brought on as not advisor, as a chairman. No, chairman is the owner. One of the people of the board, yeah, as a board member of Square. That's why he gets everything that he gets. So he needs to pay attention to it. But here, some people will say, this was public information. Well, there's a difference between something being public information, because this is on the New York government website, and it being widespread information. So yes, you could have found this, but nobody thought to look for it. Nobody knew where to look for it. And most people did not know that this was the case. And Charlamagne tries to play it like he's not tapped in with Jay-Z like that. And he's not tapped in with Roc Nation. And Roc Nation, we know Roc Nation 100% has issues with academics. That he's gotten subpoena. He's gone to court over this. They've tried to figure out things that he has to do with Drake over this. So Roc Nation has issues with academics. Jay-Z, he owns Roc Nation, or he's guys. That's his, not man's. That's his woman's, Desiree Perez. She owns that. She hates 6ix9ine, and academics is tight with 6ix9ine. So of course she hates academics too, and he's harming their business interests, or not the personality, the perception of their business interests, such as Megan Thee Stallion, that was supposed to be a massive cash cow for them. So yeah, of course, we know that, but Charlamagne is getting info and he's pretending like he doesn't know where it's from with academics, and Charlamagne is just torching his reputation. Because how can you get financially invested into a casino being built in Times Square, which is only going to harm the people? And he pretends like he's for the people and for mental health, when those two things, mental health and let's talk about cleanliness, let's talk about safety, all of these things are not synonymous with a casino in the middle of Times Square. A casino in the middle of Times Square is going to draw a ton of money, sure. And if you're not living around Times, that's why the people that lived in that area said, no, we're not doing this. And the bid went to, I think, somewhere in Long Island. I don't know. But I think Nas ended up winning that. So Jay-Z must have been really salty about that one. I think he won it for Queens or something like that. And then when he talks about jobs that it's going to bring, I wasn't able to find Charlamagne's opinion on what was going on when Amazon years ago, this is many, many years ago. I don't know if it was 10 years ago. I know AOC was very vocal against this because AOC is from New York. But Amazon and Jeff Bezos, they were going to bring a warehouse, a gigantic place that they wanted to put in New York City. I think it was in Queens or something like that. And she was against it. And of course, she's Democrat. Charlamagne is Democrat. I don't know if he spoke against it. That's something that would have brought a lot of jobs over. And it would have brought a lot solely jobs, not any gambling, nothing like that. Now you could talk about they would probably cause displacement, raising the price of rent in the surrounding area. I don't know. You could talk about all those other things, but that's getting a little bit too political, which I don't care about. The point is that an Amazon warehouse is a lot better for just jobs, if you want to call it that, than a casino, because a casino is going to bring prostitution. It's going to bring a lot of emotional anger. And so people are going to be getting, you're going to have shootouts, guaranteed, robbery, because people know people are going to have money there. So all of these cons are going to come. A lot of drunk people and people on drugs in that area. I mean, just look at places that have, we've got the Hard Rock. We had Offset. This is the Hard Rock in Florida. We're not even talking about Vegas. We had Offset get into a shooting incident with Lil TJ. And those are two celebrities. So this would have just brought chaos. And for a Charlamagne, who is named after an emperor, that's what he named himself, Charlamagne, and he also calls himself Charlamagne the God. It's almost like he told us, hey, look, I see myself as above all of you dirty peasants, and you're stupid enough to believe everything that I'm going to tell you. And I don't think he's going to have this conversation with Academics live. And I think this was the best thing Academics could have done, where he's like, yo, let's stop these back and forth games. You're trying to hit me on my line. He seems scattered, like he doesn't know what to say. And if they're public, we as the public, we're like, well, why wouldn't you want to have this conversation with him in public? I mean, Lupe Fiasco's having conversations with people in public, even his ops, hell, and they're coming at him a lot harder than Academics who looked up to Charlamagne would come at him. And this is unfortunate. Charlamagne now, his face card, at least with the general public, is not going to look too good, because even if you support Charlamagne, you look at this and you have to be objective and say, dog, you never told us this. You never told us, yeah, I'm involved in this. That's something that you should be disclosing. It's like if I imagine you got Logan Paul shilling Prime and you don't know that Logan Paul owns a part of Prime, or he has a financial interest in Prime, or Jake Paul shilling Better and you don't know that he's involved with Better. Like, you get a sour taste in your mouth here. What the hell? Especially, and that's the mental health thing about it too. And you're talking about casinos or against casinos. Meanwhile, you're involved in a casino. And we're not going to get into the whole, what's a moral casino? What's an immoral casino? All of these things are legal, like steak, all that other stuff. Those are legal. So I don't see what leg Charlamagne has left to stand on. But we will have to see when he addresses this. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Idols become rivals, huh? Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see you on the next one.